when you're trying to be polite. Can't even think because I'm never polite. Maybe that's why I can't think. Hey, welcome back to Texas Tough Chicks. And if you're here for the first time, welcome. If you're coming back for your poison, we're glad to have you back. And we're going to talk about the Iowa caucuses that have just happened and not very unexpected results that we kind of expected that Trump would pull it off and that we would have a second with DeSantis, possibly Haley. But I really thought that maybe DeSantis would come in a little higher than he did. But he still was second, and I'm glad for that.
Me too.
So, yeah, I felt like former President Trump's speech was really good, very
just diplomatic, maybe?
Diplomatic, yeah, very diplomatic. And I think it was very gracious of him the way he responded to his win, and it's what we want to see from him. That president that we know he can be, and so like I said, no surprises, but there's some things that came out of it that are kind of interesting. What was your take on it?
One of the backstories I heard was that Nikki Haley was actually apparently in Iowa, the day of the caucus, you can change your party. So there were a lot of Democrats that were allowed to vote in that Republican primary, and they were all voting for Nikki Haley.
Oh, yeah.
And supposedly 50% of her donations are coming from Democrats. So what does that tell you?
Right.
That she really not a Republican? And they were asking her, I guess I saw this little clip, she got questioned about the fact that she was getting votes from Democrats and stuff. And she said, hey, I'll take them from anybody. And, I would, it's kind of like, but it's kind of in a general election, fine. You decide between the last two guys.
Right.
If it's a declared Republican primary caucus, I think that Democrats shouldn't be voting. Sorry.
Obviously, they don't want Republicans to vote for their candidate.
No, they don't allow that.
And we don't do that. I have never, ever talked to a Republican that crosses the line to do that. Even though we say, that would be great if we could do that. That would be great if we could do that. But we don't. You know why? Because there's integrity involved. And we know that we have to answer to God for being deceitful that way.
Right.
So we don't. And plus, there's something in us that goes, I can't even put on there that I'm a Democrat. We can't even do that.
No.
We can't bring ourselves to cross over that line and even identify with someone who thinks it's okay to chop up babies or, whatever, all this
stuff that they do.
And all this stuff.
Right. Open borders.
Right. Open borders. And primary is solely for the party to elect the candidate they want to run in the general election. It's not, I'm trying to pick the best two out of the field of candidates. I'm trying to say I am identifying with this party, even if it's the Green Party. I'm identifying with this party. And because of that, I agree with their platform, what they stand on. And I am going to caucus to discuss and come out with who are we going to vote into our primary to run a general election. People don't understand that. Like, I don't even care what a Democrat has to say about a Republican caucus because it's none of their business. It's none of their business.
No,
I don't care what their opinion is. They're going to hate whoever it is anyway. So whether it's Trump or DeSantis or Haley or Vivek, it doesn't matter. They're not going to like them.
No.
Right? So why tune in? And that brings me to Rachel Maddow's baloney that she came on after I just saw the clip of it and I just had to walk away. I just like, you think we're so stupid in this? Like, and they do. That's what they rely on. They rely that the general population of America is just too stupid to think these things through. But she literally says after the caucus results, she says, we're not going to air President Trump's speech after the results because we just don't know if he's going to say anything valuable. And I mean, that's all paraphrasing.
Wow.
But it's like, she's like becoming the censor of America. And she says it with a smile, like, we really don't like to do this, but we're really like, we're protecting you all from hearing something that doesn't follow our narrative. That's what she should say. It's like, we're protecting you from us being able to brainwash you. That's what we're trying to do. We don't want you to think on your own. We want you to follow our narrative. We will give you, we'll spoon feed you the information, especially all you young people that don't have any critical thinking skills. We're going to spoon feed you the information. And if there's something that doesn't follow that, we're just not,
we're just going to pretend it doesn't exist. No, I always wonder if we could get these people one-on-one, and instead of in a room screaming, whatever, if you could get them one-on-one and just sit there and say, stop, let's have a conversation, if you could actually reach them. But you can't reach these big, they're like an angry hive of bees, you know, they're just, and they feed off each other and they get ramped up and nobody listens and nobody ever, you know, can talk with people. I mean, I went, what are you afraid of? Are you afraid that I'm actually going to make you think that I'm going to say something that's going to make you go, wait a minute, and challenge your own belief system?
That's exactly right. And then that's exactly what I'm thinking with Rachel Maddow. PMSNBC. It's MSNBC, right? PMSNBC, right? What are they afraid of? What are you afraid of? What are you, it's just really bad information. What are you afraid of? And so on the intellectual side, a lot of times you'll see them just shut this down. Like, we're going to be the self-censoring. We're going to be the censors of America, right? We don't, and that's not a good journalism ever. If you just go back 20 years and you look at our journalists, you know, you can see they make a concerted effort to be fair on both sides, even if they don't agree with it. Now that's out the window. That's out the window. We only want you to hear what we want you to hear, what we want to say. We only want that. And now, and then you get to the non-professional students, right? And they're just screaming. They just can't even communicate without an elevation that's so loud, no one can speak. It's that attention thing that I say. It's like, give me every bit of the energy in the room, every bit of everyone's attention, because I can't allow anyone to contradict what I'm saying. So if I just scream over everyone
and continue to scream,
and that what happened to the Bay. He had it was a kind of a meet and greet, and it was put on by a specific group, but they opened it up and they let people come in. Got a group of young people in there, and it's interesting that it's always like some in that young 20s area, and sitting in the front row, and
with their signs already.
Not my candidate. I like a lot of things that he says, but he's not my candidate.
Right.
But I have to say, he held it together so well, and he was so respectful to them. And this young man gets up and he just says something like, you know, going off on his rant, but he's not so elevated, he's yelling yet. But he's just going off on his whole prepared speech. It's no question there. It's just a whole prepared speech. I get to be up in front of everyone. Everyone's eyes are on me, so I get everyone's attention. I suck all the life out of the room, so I have to get, you know, I got to get that all on me.
Yep.
And he goes on and on and on. And finally, Vivek is like, are you finished? You know, and you make sure that he's finished. And then he looks at the lady next to him and says, hey, you know, do you have something to add to that before I answer? And Vivek gets about 3 words out of his answer. And the kid stands up, and the young woman next to him, it could have been his mom, who knows, but stands up with him, and they start screaming like
year-olds. And they had big prepared signs too.
Oh yeah, and they just unravel them. You know, the other ones are just standing there with them unraveled, and they're just
right.
And these two are just screaming. They literally sound like little children, like a child rolling on the floor, throwing a
having a tantrum.
And they won't listen to anything. They stop like periodically a couple times, and whenever anyone starts to say any words, just like a 10-year-old, they scream over them. They just scream over them.
Right.
And I'm just like, that's what our country is going to be led by, is that generation.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. They have no way to communicate without screaming. It is so disgusting. And you know what's really disgusting to me is when I had seen it on a program that I was listening to, and I went to find it myself so I could put the link on here. I had the most difficult time finding that. They've already scrubbed it because it's so embarrassing to the climate change people.
Even when they finally, one of them kind of did ask the question and Vivek started to answer it, they just started screaming. It's like, you're not here to understand and ask a question and listen. You're just here to accuse a man of something that you can't prove is true. Well, here's the thing too, is, I mean, you think about this generation, how much of it is the, selfie time and everything
Oh,
else. It's
right.
like, if I really rowdy and really out of control,
Yeah,
I'll get on TV.
exactly.
So they're looking for their
Exactly. And he
15
did.
minutes of
Look at, and we're
fame.
talking about
Oh
it.
yeah, we're
But
talking
we
about
need to
him.
start embarrassing them.
Mhm.
And so we need to get Texas tough. We need to start not being intimidated by people who
Right,
think they have authority. When we voted for them to handle our elections, we were
right,
the ones who put their name on the ballot, and we need to, and they can be voted out. We need to be not aggressive but assertive and say, no, I'm going to watch this, or we have
uh-huh,
these people to watch this vote. We're going to watch the
right,
county. We're just a stand in the
right,
back of the room, but we're going to watch
right.
it.
Yeah,
I've been involved with being an observer for counting the vote, and there's no, it's open. There's
hmm,
nothing to hide. There's
right.
nothing to hide. So with the media, we got to stop listening to these people, because not only are the liberals all trying to persuade us different ways, they're trying to shut everyone up. And
Right, right.
I think was it Canada? We were talking about
Yes,
that
yes, it
video.
was, it was, it was.
And
Yes,
I mean,
that,
even though it's Canada, it can happen here, and it has happened
oh,
here.
it probably is happening here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reporter was just trying to ask a question of a councilwoman or
Prime Minister, like
yeah,
vice prime
something.
minister or something like that.
Yeah. And she was just walking down the street and he just walked up with his microphone and he asked her a question.
He didn't stop her.
No, he just kept walking and she
Mhm.
was walking, and suddenly the police came over and said, that they were going to arrest him. And it was like, what are you arresting me for? He said, because you assaulted an officer. And I went, when? I've been
Right?
watching the video.
I know.
Actually, the officer was the one that touched him first. And
Yep. This police officer decided to be God. And because Trudeau has given, their law authority that permission to be
mhm,
abusive,
mhm.
and we're heading down that direction. We are
Yep,
heading down that
yep,
direction fast.
right. And then Maddow, see, the thing I don't like about her too is the fact that she was proven wrong on several things in the past. And did she ever come out and say, "Oh, I'm sorry,
No,
misinformation"? No, she
no,
never owns
she
up to
never,
being.
no, they never give misinformation.
No,
They,
no.
everything that comes out of their mouths is true. Because you know why?
Right,
Because you must believe it. That's the
right.
thing. You must believe them.
Because they got their God badges, the
Right.
ones that says I'm God,
Right.
and you're a
Exactly.
peon, and you need
Got
to
the
listen to what
God
I say.
badge on.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's insanity. It really is. And I mean, hold on to the seat of your pants, America. We're in for a ride, man. If
Yeah.
Trump is going to be our guy, it's going to be a ride, because the whole news
Yeah.
anchors,
Yep.
all the media, they all want to get him. And why do they want to get him? Because he's a threat. They
Right.
much rather have the demented old guy. They'd much rather have the weak president that they can
Right.
control.
Right. Or
And that
the
is,
or the puppet
mhm.
on the Republican side.
Oh, right,
They,
right.
they they want somebody that they can control.
But that's another reason to be Texas tough, not be intimidated
Yep.
by your representatives, your
Right.
congressmen, your senators. You elected them. And even
They
if it's
work for
not
us.
someone that you elected, and to say the other guy got in, you
They
still have a
still
vote in their state.
Right, right. They
Still can
still
hold
represent
that.
the, yes, if they represent your district, they represent you, and you have a
Exactly.
right to have a voice in whatever. You have a right to go to their office, to write them letters, to call their office, anything.
Exactly. So get Texas tough. Don't be intimidated by people. We voted in there, and you can vote out. Quit being
Right,
intimidated by them.
right,
And if they
right.
threaten you with police, then you say, okay, bring the police, and you record every
Everything.
single thing. And
Yep.
then you hand your phone off before you leave with the police.
Hmm.
We're done with this. We need to
Right,
stop letting them bully us.
right.
It's time to get toughness. We're just becoming a wimpy culture.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, we sure do.
That's my mom lecture for today. That's my
Okay,
mom lecture. Okay,
that's
everyone.
good.
So we're gonna wrap this up, and we're gonna say, get Texas tough, America. We
And
need you.
yep, we'll be back. See you next time.
All right, thanks.